to be here today talking to you. Really thrilled. This is the single podcast interview that I have actually been looking forward to.
That is some high cotton, Mike Rinder. Thank you so much for saying that. Although I don't know, when a Scientologist, a former Scientologist, tells you that he watches your show religiously, it's difficult to know how to take that.
That is a very good point. That is a very good point.
Well, that was religiously after I left. I wasn't watching TV when I was there in the Sea Org. It was after I left. So,
did they even allow TVs on the Apollo?
Oh no, there was no TVs on the Apollo. Even subsequent to that, like when we arrived at the Fort Harrison, there were TVs in all the rooms because it was a hotel, but we weren't allowed to watch them.
What a nightmare you are to these people. I mean, people come and go from all sorts of churches and organizations all of the time, and many times they don't have flattering things to say. But you were, what, third from the top, or close to it?
Yeah, I was the international spokesperson for Scientology for 2 decades. I was on the board of directors of the Church of Scientology International from when I helped create it until I escaped in 2007, like 25 years. So, yes, I was in a very senior position. And, as you will know from my book, I was brought into the world of Scientology at a very young age. I joined what was called the C organization, which is like the inner circle of Scientology, and you sign a billion-year contract to pledge yourself for eternity to achieving the aims of Scientology, that's where the name of the book comes from.
Sure.
But probably more significantly with respect to the book, I brought 2 children into that world. And those 2 children remain there to this day. And the book is actually addressed to them with the hope that one day they will actually be able to read it and know who I am or was. And, maybe they'll read it after I passed on. Who knows? But it's important to me. And I lay out in the beginning of the book, why do I keep going? Well, it's really because of that. Because I want them to have the freedom to think for themselves. And it's my belief at this point, Mike, the only way that will happen, the only way to break them out of the prison is to blow up the prison.
I think the reason your book is number 1 is because you're taking a very big swing and you are trying to correct a very great wrong, but you're doing it in a very personal way. This is micro and macro at the same time. You're taking a big swing at a tax-exempt organization that uses taxpayer money and dedicates it exclusively to a wing within the organization whose sole purpose is to harass and attack. People need to understand that. But here you sit, estranged from your kids, and that estrangement goes right to the very heart, I think, of what is so troubling and so personal to so many other people who are estranged from their family for whatever reason. But you've tapped into an enormous thing that's also an intensely small and personal thing. And here's a question no one has ever asked you before.
Yep.
I listened to you on Patrick Bet-David. I listened to you on Megyn Kelly. I listened to you on CBS this morning. I listened to you on 60 Minutes, Australia.
Oh, you've been busy.
Well, look, man, I don't, you've probably been interviewed by a lot of people who think they know you.
Yes.
And you've probably answered every conceivable question. But what's on my mind right now is how does it feel to be really under the microscope, talking so intimately about something so personal that has the ramifications to literally change thousands of people's lives? I mean, it's deadly serious what you're in the midst of right now. And I just wonder how that feels on a day-to-day basis for you.
Wow, you're right, Mike. Nobody has ever asked me that question before. Like, I thought you were joking. I thought you were going to give me some, like, routine question everybody asks all the time.
No, I went for it, man. I was going to ask you where that Emmy came from, but I'm saving that.
Tell us about Xenu. Right?
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Tell us about Xenu. Right.
Yeah, exactly. How does it feel? It feels very a heavy burden.